Hey guys, Lancer here. Hope everyone's doing well. Thanks for joining me. We'll look into Magic 30th and the impacts on revised edition dual lands mainly. So the reason why I'm doing this revised edition dual lands, the most liquid of all reserve list cards. Very easy to see their movements in prices. It's hard to manipulate them because of how many there are. Obviously, it is the easiest to track. There might be better ones to track in the future, but we're going to see from when Wizards of the Coast first announced what was going to be in Magic 30th, what the impact of the dual lands have been, or what the price impact, and we're going to see if this is kind of the stuff that we should really look into buying into. So this is the opposite of greed. Greed was what was happening in 2021. This is starting to feel closer to fear. Maybe not complete fear, but this is getting closer to fear. And when people are scared and selling these kinds of cards, which are still rare just because of how old they are and how much people enjoy spending time playing with them or getting them or collecting them, they have value for a lot of people. So we need to look into it and see if there's going to be any gains or possible chances for people to buy at a lower price. So let's look into the first one, Tropical Island. So we already know that one of the big impacts on any collectible is how easy it is to access cash. And we know that after 2020, a lot of things happened where we had stimulus, especially in the US, but around the world. I think there was like, oh my God, the amount of money that was flushed into the world. Obviously, prices went straight to the moon, and a lot of people made a lot of money on the way up, and maybe didn't sell, but they're still up. And even if they sold, they may want to buy back in. So at what entry price are they going to buy back in? So let's have a look at what TCG Player is doing, $425 average. And we can already see that after middle of 2021, after the peak of 2021, January and Feb, that was a large drop off. It peaked around about $808, and now it's sitting around about $543. So almost a 40% off. It's pretty crazy when you think about it. Now, what is it showing on TCG, where the graph is actually showing a very drastic drop off? Now, you got to remember October, November, September, October, November. September, October, November, December. So if we look back and figure out what was happening in October, we can see that the prices were relatively stable. So this is October 3rd, and you can see November 1st, a bit of a drop off. This is probably when a lot of people were starting to get negative. If we go back to Magic 30th, it's the 4th of October was when it was announced. So a lot of this price movement came after the negativity from the internet. Like, you got to remember that influencers have a big connection to this kind of stuff. And while a lot of people might have thought that this would have crashed harder earlier, this might have been a certain point when certain influencers were saying things that actually made the markets very unsure of themselves. Now, I'm not going to point any names or point any fingers, but I 100% could imagine Rudy coming out for Alpha Investments to say that, Magic 30 is going to be a fire pit and anything related to it is going to cause some issues. But his entire answer was, it's going to sell out. Truthfully, it didn't sell out. It sold terribly by the looks of it in all ways. And now we're going to run into this issue where instead of paying $800 for a near mint Tropical Island, you can pick one up for $532. Now, is that still good value? You're going to have to let me know, because I think that is still pretty high compared to 2020 prices. But this is the kind of price range that you would want to be looking at for picking up, especially the near mint ones, because they will have a bit more resellability at some point in the future. So moving on to Tundra, TCG Player says 405. What has it done? Dropped off pretty aggressively, starting even before that, September. Truthfully, interest rates have a large impact on this, but it has flatlined for a while. You can get a lightly played for $410, which actually doesn't sound too bad. And you got to look at this. This is a large amount of stock. And who knows how much they're hiding. Look, every single one of these has 2 pages. And you got 14 lightly played. $703, sure, but they might reduce their prices if they just kind of sit there. And like the listing is separate from how many they actually hold. That 14 may not be all of what they hold. A lot of these guys might be sitting on a lot more inventory than you think. And you got to remember, these are small shops, or well, large shops connected to TCG, but they're still shops in general. Look at this, moderately played, 12 available, and there's 11 listings, and it goes to 2 pages. Unheard of a year ago. Moving over to Underground Sea, TCG Player says $585. You can get no damage over here. You can get a lightly played for $765. That's actually still on the high end for Underground Sea, but it is one of the more popular dual lands. Volcanic Island, another popular dual land, $650. TCG Player says it is still dropping. It had a bit of a bounce, obviously, but it is dropping, and a lightly played is going to set you back $779. Don't forget, these were 1,000 at some point, and you couldn't find any of them. So on this one, you got 7 listings. Yeah, look at that, 9 available. The flash crash would be to sell them all at a lower price, and we're just going to see how that goes. So on this one, 12, 14 available. Yeah, that's some pretty insane numbers that I haven't seen in a long time, and they're still coming. I would have thought they would have flattened out by now, but it feels like there might be a bit more to the downside. Another thing that I need to talk about is the important events of this week. The Federal Reserve and the CPI is going to be talking, and CPI is going to come out. Federal Reserve is going to be talking, Jerome Powell, and we all know how much of an impact that guy has on all markets. So Badlands, another one, $315, moving down. It's got a bit of a bounce back, but you're going to be paying $438 for a lightly played. Still on the high end, but once again, 11 of them. 11 moderately played, 11 lightly played. Jora's Closet is pumping out these reserve list dual lands. I'd be very careful. Look at this turnaround. Look at that drop for Bayou. 350 USD. Big drop off. Lightly played for $358. Starting to sound very similar to 2020, end of 2020, when it still was moving up, but not as aggressively as 2021. And one of the cheapest, Plateau, $235. Oh my god, a bit of a bump up actually. Nothing too crazy, but still a bit of a bump up. Lightly played is going to set you back $351, and once again, from Jora's Closet, you're getting the most amount of them listed. Savannah, flatlining by the looks of it, $295 on TCG. I use TCG because they just get the most amount of traffic. Weirdly manipulated by the looks of the graph, but let's have a look. $308 for lightly played. Not that bad. You got 10, you got 8. Yeah, Jora's Closet really did stock up on these. They might still have a good price value ratio going on there, but we're going to have to see how that all works. Another thing that I'd really want to keep an eye on is what are people doing with the higher end cards. So you got to really check if people are taking advantage of the higher end markets where an alpha, beta, power 9 might actually drop in price enough where some of the more wealthy folks can grab them up. Like I'm talking like Post Malone and all that. These are the kind of people that you got to be careful of, because they could buy out whatever's left of the stock and sit on it, and you may never get the chance. But once again, you don't want to FOMO in, because the market is, in some cases, bigger than just some whales. A lot of people have these around, and if the prices are right, they will sell them out. Depends on what they're doing. Like I wouldn't feel like I need to, but I'm also not heavily invested. And also, some people started off way back when it was $296, or January 13th when it's $114. You go back even more, $56. You're talking about $100 to $900. You're talking about 900% profit in 9 years. That's pretty crazy to think about. So, a lot of people are thinking like that nowadays, and it adds up in the long run for any investable asset, because everyone's thinking, how can I invest my money? So maybe people are loaded up more than I give them credit for. Anyways, guys, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Just something that I'm thinking may be important to keep track of just because of the way the markets are behaving and see what happens. Anyways, see you guys next time.